Hi. During this public health crisis, one of the standout leaders during the course of events has been Andrew Cuomo, Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York. Now, I have been a long-time follower and fan of Governor Cuomo, way back since his father was the governor, Mario Cuomo, all the way through his family. I'm a big avid viewer of Chris Cuomo on CNN. I am a fan of the Cuomo family. And Andrew Cuomo has always acted decisively and shown great leadership skills, always. Back in 2015, he published a book, All Things Possible. I bought it at that time. I read it a couple of times since then because I'm a big fan. And I wanted Andrew Cuomo to be a presidential candidate in this cycle. And I called for that way back during 2018 and January of 2019. He didn't run. So circumstances and situations changed. But I guarantee you that someday in the future, Andrew Cuomo will become president of the United States. Now, I want to read a short passage from his book to give you a taste of his thinking. And I'll tell you right now that I encourage you to go out and buy the book. Check it out. During this time of self-quarantine, what else is there to do but read a lot? Okay, this is from Andrew Cuomo. He says, I truly believe all things are possible. Why are all things possible? Because 4 years ago, Buffalo was a city with a glorious past but no future. And Western New York was the most depressed region in the state. Today, polls show that it's New York's most optimistic region, literally tied with Manhattan. As the Buffalo News wrote in 2013, quote, all one really need do is to engage in conversation with virtually any Buffalonian at a local pub to gauge the positive shift in perspective. Buffalo has become cool, unquote. Because New York State government was the epitome of dysfunction, the one activity the state had to perform, the annual budget passage, had become gridlocked between the liberal urban population from downstate and the more white conservative suburban and rural Republicans. The result was that the budget had been habitually late and riddled with scams, and no one believed it could be changed. In 30 years, the budget was late 23 times, by an average of about 2 months. Today, we celebrate passing 4 budgets in a row on time with a bipartisan legislature, a new norm of collegiality and compromise. In spring of 2014, the state's credit rating was increased, bearing the triple distinction of earning the best Moody's rating in 50 years, the highest Fitch rating ever for New York, and the first upgrade ever from Standard & Poor's. Because after my candidacy for the governorship in 2002 ended in disaster, and every pundit wrote my political obituary, returning to elected office seemed impossible. I had alienated the entire Democratic establishment. Everyone, including me, thought I was finished. But we can learn from our mistakes. Loss can be a great teacher. People are kind, and second chances are real. Why are all things possible? Because for me, I am the 56th governor of New York State. Because when I took office, 3 governors in 15 years had come and gone since the first announcement that the Tappan Zee Bridge would be replaced. Voters were justified in thinking that the government had a competence deficiency and was incapable of executing large projects efficiently. Today, the Tappan Zee is under construction 1 year from the date of the announcement. Because in 2002, I went through a heart-wrenching divorce that shattered my family, and I thought it would hurt my girls, and that the comfort and joy of a family were gone for me. Today, my girls are all amazing, successful, healthy young women whom I couldn't be more proud of. And my girls and I are the family I always hoped for and more. Because Americans are welcoming and generous, and because my father, Mario Cuomo, who was born to immigrant parents with no money and no education, became governor of New York State. It was proved again when the voters of this country elected an African American named Barack Hussein Obama to be president of the United States of America. Today, in the early years of the new millennium, I believe many of our limits are self-imposed. Somewhere along the way, we stopped believing in ourselves as individuals and as a society, and we were wrong. Americans are a magnificent collection of the most daring, strong, entrepreneurial people on the planet. They are the rare souls and offspring of people who were brave enough to get into small boats, to cross the great oceans, to come to a faraway land. They built the greatest nation on earth, defended it through 2 world wars, and continue to be the global force for freedom. Pioneer and immigrant blood is in the veins of this country. That is the resilient, resourceful, supportive character of this nation. This is what makes all things possible. Andrew Cuomo, All Things Possible. I highly recommend the book. If you have time, check it out, read it. And someday in the future, not in this cycle, but in a future cycle, Andrew Cuomo will become president of the United States. And he should be.